Good day and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. In today's coverage of the ongoing civil war taking place inside of the former state of Ethiopia, we have some significant events occurring today, November 23rd, 2021. So, as reported within the last 24 hours, from the capital of the former state of Ethiopia, the stronghold of the Abiy loyalists, or one of the strongholds of the Abiy loyalists, Addis Ababa, also known as Fine, for the Oromo viewers. The leader, the prime minister of Ethiopia, Abiy Ahmed, has declared that he is going to be heading to the battlefront, that he would be directly participating in military operations against the Tigrayan Defense Forces. Now, does that mean that he is going to pick up a rifle and head to the front and engage the enemy himself? Probably not. And I would say most definitely not. In all probability, one of two things is currently occurring. One, we are looking at preparations for the actual fall of Addis Ababa, and he is making internal decisions that would involve possibly leaving the country and or preparations for himself and other members of his senior staff, including military leaders, including political appointees that could possibly departing the country. Obviously, when you do that sort of thing, especially in terms of moving huge sums of money, assets, and obviously huge numbers of personnel that may have to, in fact, leave the country, that is something that would not go unnoticed. So you would need to create a facade to orchestrate said movement out of the country, and quite possibly this declaration that he would be leading troops from the battlefield, from the battlefront, could be a facade for a possible plan to vacate the country. Again, the Tigrayan Defense Forces have now reportedly entered Debre Sina and are closing in on Debre Berhan. And there is obviously a significant command and control node located in Debre Berhan. And it is the thought that once Debre Berhan is lost, the war quite possibly could be lost for the Abiy loyalists and the Ethiopian National Defense Forces. Now, that's not to say the war would stop. The war would continue, obviously, because of the Amhara region will continue to fight, and a lot of individuals in the Amhara region simply do not have the assets to simply flee the country with that golden parachute to live in opulence in the United Arab Emirates or Turkey or Kenya or some other nation state that Abiy Ahmed and his inner circle could flee to. And that inner circle is fairly significant. There are many stakeholders in this regime. So again, it would be a significant move out of the country to have Abiy Ahmed leave the country. So there would have to be some sort of facade, some sort of cover operation, and quite possibly him being deploying to the so-called battlefront could be preparations for him exiting the country. But we'll have to see. It's quite possible that he is simply heading towards Debre Berhan to actually participate in the planning and preparations for the defense of Debre Berhan and Addis Ababa and other areas of the former state of Ethiopia. But again, back to the military operations that are underway. As we talked about yesterday, Shia Robit has been taken by the Tigrayan Defense Forces, and we also know that leading elements of the Tigrayan Defense Forces have already progressed down the A2 highway, and we are now hearing that in some cases infiltration units have gotten into Debre Sina. There are Tigrayan Defense Forces on the ground in the town of Debre Sina. I would assume that they are looking at and probing the defensive operations that are occurring just west of Debre Sina. Again, I talked about the plateau that leads up to Debre Berhan from Debre Sina is an ideal area to defend, and it would appear to be that the Ethiopian National Defense Forces, the Amhara Regional Militias, and even Oromo Regional Military Police Forces could be staging in this area in preparations for a last stand just west of Debre Sina, and that would be again this area here along the A2. As you can see, there's two major switchbacks that lead up to the plateau, which would then lead you over fairly flat ground to Debre Berhan. And while it's not flat in terms of plains, it's more of rolling hills and foothills to Debre Berhan, and then ultimately to Addis Ababa. It no less is an area that if the Tigrayan Defense Forces are able to push past Debre Sina, and push past, I mean, get within a few kilometers of Debre Sina, then we're probably looking at another phase of the conflict. Again, the Tigrayan Defense Forces have had some challenges operating in these very flat expanses. Again, one of the major issues is it opens up themselves to attack from drones or aircraft. Again, engaging a target in a sparsely in a very sparsely populated area that lacks foliage and is relatively flat and arid, is an area in which the resources of the Ethiopian Air Force could come into play and could cause issue for the Tigrayan Defense Forces. Again, as they navigate past the main terrain features west of southwest of Debre Sina, and then begin to move down the A2 highway towards Debre Berhan. But again, the loss of Debre Berhan would almost be the last nail in the coffin for the Abiy loyalists, for the federal forces, the so-called federal forces of the Ethiopian National Defense Forces. Again, command and control staging areas have been moved to Debre Berhan. It is a crucial area to be defended by the Ethiopian National Defense Forces, and its loss again would be tantamount to near practical defeat. But again, that is really, for the most part, the last major town before they enter Addis Ababa or get close to really threatening Addis Ababa. Once that town falls, I would suspect, if it indeed falls, I would suspect this is a major crossing point in terms of where this conflict is heading. I would say that the fall of Debre Berhan could quite possibly, you would start to see the flight of senior leadership within the Prosperity Party probably start to flee the country at that point. Again, that's how important this city is. Again, I would imagine that Abiy Ahmed's inner circle has decided probably that if Debre Berhan falls, then quite possibly the war could be over for themselves, and they would probably then be looking again to flee the country. But with that being said, we are hearing a pickup in fighting. We're hearing of intense fighting near Debre Sina, east of Debre Sina. We are also have reports. Again, we have not been able to confirm this report, but it would appear that a contingent of Amhara militia units have possibly launched an operation towards Lalibela. Now, the size and the scope of this operation is unknown at this point. We know that Gashina is under the control of the Tigrayan Defense Forces and is still under the control of the TDF. We also know that further to the north, Sokoto is under the control of the TDF. So how Lalibela would have been infiltrated by Amhara regional militias, we can only assume possibly that a small group of Amhara militias may have moved from the west towards the east and infiltrated Lalibela, quite possibly from the west. And then obviously some internal assets within Lalibela itself may have took up arms and are attempting to possibly free the city. But again, that is simply speculation based on information coming in that we have not been able to confirm. We've seen this before. We've also seen banditry operations, as discussed before, taking place in the Amhara region, and that could be the case that we are seeing this now in Lalibela. But again, we'll know more once more information comes in. But again, the major fighting, the main body of the Tigrayan Defense Forces, obviously has moved well past Lalibela. And they're simply holding forces in Lalibela and other areas north of Dese and Kombolcha, as the TDF now are advancing along two main advance routes, the A2 and then obviously down towards Delgado. But again, the fighting is picking up. The fighting is becoming more intense after the taking of Ashirobit. And now we are seeing intense fighting. We're seeing continued airstrikes, continued reported drone strikes within the vicinity of Debre Sina and other areas. But again, the battle is at a tipping point right now. And again, all eyes are on what happens if the TDF is able to proceed past Debre Sina and either besiege or attack Debre Berhan, which would be a significant blow, even a much greater blow than what we observed with the fall of Dese and Kombolcha. But again, we are going to continue to monitor the situation and bring you information as we receive it. Have a great day, folks.